Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. This is my review of The Last House on the Left. This was directed by the master of horror, Wes Craven. He's no longer with us. May he rest in peace. This was released in 1972. Very controversial for its time. This is not for a lot of people. Many people consider this sort of B movie, schlocky, and just not in very good taste considering the type of violence in the film. There is a brutal murder rape scene about halfway through the film. So there's going to be slight spoilers. The ad campaign for this movie pretty much spoils what happens in the film. It's on the poster pretty much what happens. And there's a tagline on the poster. Uh, those those that are gonna faint, keep repeating to yourself, it's only a movie, it's only a movie, it's only a movie. And Sean S. Cunningham was a producer on the film. So this is a great collaboration between two horror icons, legends. Mr. Cunningham being the director of the original 1980 Friday the 13th. So I watched this for the first time, I want to say at the age of 12. I had no business watching this film that young. Came across it by accident one day on cable. As a horror fan, as a kid, I was trying to get my hands on everything that was, from Wes Craven or Toby Hooper or Sean Cunningham, Stephen King, all the great horror storytellers. And when I saw that this was a Wes Craven movie, yeah, I kept it on. I was like, oh, I haven't seen this one. But boy, I had no idea what I was in for. And I got to warn people before they decide to watch this. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not for the squeamish. For a 70s film, this has the kind of gore in it that you might not expect. And for some people, this is going to be quite tame compared to today's standards, given the whole torture porn thing that happened in the 2000s with the Saw movies, the Hostel movies, you know. So, yeah, it's not as gory as most of today's horror films. There's really only one uh, murder scene in the film, in the halfway through the film, but it's a scene that the whole movie pretty much rests on, and the story involves two girls on an outing. It's someone's birthday. She just turned 17, and her girlfriend basically are trying to score some pot out in the city in New York. And they meet this young kid who says, yeah, I can get you some stuff. Come back over to my little spot here in this building. Complete strangers. Go inside, shut the door, boom. They are kidnapped by a family of maniacs. And before they know it, they're taken out into the woods where bad things happen. And yeah, it is hard to watch. It is done in a sort of documentary fashion, sort of guerrilla style of filmmaking that really adds to sort of a feeling of being there, which will make a lot of viewers uncomfortable, maybe even to the point of not even wanting to finish the movie. But there is a third act in the film that turns the tables on the bad guys, because they stumble upon a home of one of the victims and actually very awkwardly end up inside the home of parents of one of the victims. And before you know it, there is a confrontation in the third act. For some people, it might feel, dated, and, especially the kind of music score. This is early 70s movies. The music score was done by Stephen Chapin, and one of the main actors who plays one of the killers in the film, David Hess, collaborator with Wes Craven on more than one occasion. David Hess was also in 1982's Swamp Thing. And Yeah, there's a really interesting style with the music. It sort of contradicts a lot of the imagery that you're seeing on screen. Probably trying to go for a sort of sense of irony. Excuse me. But yeah, this doesn't feel like any sort of conventional mainstream horror film. This definitely has its own sort of vibe in terms of movies that came out at this time. There weren't that many movies, I think, as far as mainstream horror movies that were like this. This was definitely something that was intended for the, I think, the Midnight Drive-In type of crowd. And, as an independent horror film, I think it does work in terms of telling a realistic story that, for the most part, is shocking and, disturbing. And because of that, it is, scary enough because this is something that uh, could actually happen. And people, run into the wrong people all the time and see outcomes that unfortunately they can never walk out of. And yeah, this is a difficult watch, I think. Even upon rewatch, not a movie that is even after watching it as a kid, not a movie that I would come back to that frequently. I would have to be in the mood to sort of want to challenge myself, to sit myself down and plant my ass down for about, hour and a half, 45. And it's almost like wanting to torture yourself almost. But like, why would someone do that? You'd ask yourself, like, why would you do that to yourself? But you just tell yourself it's just a movie, like the poster says. And I'm one of those guys always trying to chase down that feeling of when I was younger and these movies used to actually scare me. I'm so desensitized by now. I actually chase down that feeling when it comes to wanting to sit down and watch something that's going to scare me. So, certain movies do that for me. Movies like The Exorcist, The Omen, uh, and The Last House on the Left. Movies that, for the most part, remind me why I started getting into horror movies to begin with. That feeling of, ugh, this is really uncomfortable, and shit, can I even finish this thing? And yeah, not a movie for everyone, but for hardcore horror fans, horror buffs, this is an important sort of addition to our American horror movie cinema. This is listed in American Film Institute's greatest 100 greatest uh, thrills, I guess, the 100 greatest thrills list. And yeah, it is definitely for a lot of people a sort of landmark 70s horror film. And if you're into that sort of thing, horror movies that are more on sort of the realistic side, you might want to check out Last House on the Left. There is a remake. The remake, in my opinion, as much as I love this original film, in my opinion, I actually think the remake that was released in 2008, 2009, I think it's actually better. And I know that those are fighting words for a lot of people, but, you know, every now and then there's a remake that comes along that does surpass the original. You got a great example is, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1986's The Fly. It was, I think, even better than 1958's classic. Scarface, 1983, to me surpasses the 1932 Paul Mooney film. And yeah, every now and then a remake comes along that overtakes that original. For me, this original film is one of the important horror 70s films. But if you were looking for more of an updated version, check out that remake. I might talk about that one, eventually. But for the most part, I'm talking about older films, which is why I'm not reviewing that right now. If I do decide to talk about the remake in a video, it'll probably be around October. That's really when I get into a more of a horror movie kind of mode. Come October, that's all I'm going to talk about, really, to be honest. That's all that's going to be on my brain. That's all I watch in October is horror films. I know I'm a little crazy, but who isn't? So, okay, I guess that'll do it for now. So that was my review of The Last House on the Left. So yeah, please, if you're gonna watch this film, uh, watch it with somebody. Watch it with a couple people. I wouldn't watch this alone, especially if it's your first time. Um, yeah, so you've been warned. Wes Craven, one of the masters of horror, for his first time out making a big feature film for the big screen, he definitely shows that he showed that he was a horror director to watch out for. And uh, yeah, he was, even back then for his first film, he was manipulating the audience and sort of getting you to even uh, want to, I guess, turn away right from the get-go. And it's okay, turn away. You don't have to look at everything. Even the film doesn't want you to see everything, because even the horror is shot in the way. I mean, the violent scenes, uh, the graphic stuff, it's shot in a way that it doesn't want to show you everything, but it shows you in just enough to imply the amount of carnage that's involved. But yeah, it's not a blood and guts kind of film. There's one brief graphic scene, but for the most part, it's edited and shot in a way that, yeah, it's. I think it's, like I said, it is not for the tame, but for horror film buffs that are completely desensitized, it's probably not going to live up to like completely like gory kind of standards, like top notch gore. This is an early '70s horror film, so, and remember, independently sort of made and guerrilla film style shot, and everything. So, okay, thank you very much, and check out the next review. I got plenty of these lined up. Always looking at my list of classics, thinking about which one should I talk about next. Not really in any particular order. You'll notice I'm sort of doing these sort of at random, and to me, that's part of the fun for me. Hopefully, it's part of the fun for y'all. So, thank you very much. Please look out for the next one. If you're new to the channel, please hit that bell and subscribe. If you're into movies like I am, I'm constantly talking about old films. For the most part, that's all I'll be doing. And yeah, look out for the next one. Please share, comment, like, and until next time, God bless.